Hi Lansdowne. Well, this is my third weekly briefing video, which means that we're 3 weeks into lockdown. No end in sight, is there? But I guess we're getting now a little bit used to the routines and rhythms and the pace that's been generated by this upside down crazy world. I think that as far as the staff are concerned, we met again on video on Tuesday. It's been encouraging from my point of view to see the way in which they're finding their feet with their working week. Don't forget that 5 of our staff have children of school age or are at home with children. So that puts an additional pressure on them, but I think that they're coping well with that. And we are trying to support each other through the rollout of ministries and programs, most of which now, of course, are entirely online through our media communications. So will you pray for our staff as they keep managing that going forward, establishing a pattern? I guess from my point of view, this week has been particularly demanding and pressured. The spike in output, for obvious reasons. We've got the Easter weekend coming up now, and we've had that funeral Thanksgiving service for Kerry Brown the other day. So for me, as I take steps to go forward, it's about finding a pattern, a way of working that is sustainable and effective. I met with the trustees on Tuesday evening, and again it was great just to be encouraged by that screen full of faces. Our leaders are really working very hard for us, trying to understand the impact of the coronavirus on our church life from that organizational point of view. Particularly encouraging for me was to hear how many of you are responding by giving online. One of the concerns that we've got obviously as a leadership is the income expenditure and how we're going to manage that. Clearly the data is still being gathered. We're not going to make any quick decisions. We want to be able to be in a position to measure what's going on. But from the point of view of the way that people are responding, we have set up the giving online facility now through our website, and so grateful to those of you who have made use of that, because clearly we're not able to gather on Sundays, and normally in Woodbury Avenue there's no basket offerings. Pray for our trustees as they keep tabs on all these issues, particularly on the big strategic issues, the direction of travel, our building project. Again, we're wanting to pray this through. We spent the last month trying to focus on the key issues of our church life, the gospel, holding together our faith and hope in Jesus. So we've been committed very much to teaching and praying and leading in that sense. But there will come a time when we've gathered the information we need and getting some sense of the impact on all our lives, and therefore on the church of key strategic projects. But to date, we're hugely encouraged by the way that you folks have been responding. In terms of upcoming events, we've got the Maunday Thursday prayer gathering by Zoom. We had our first last week. That was just great to see, scores and scores of faces on the screen, including Jane Edwards from Mozambique. She dialed in, and there were others too, and it was great to see that screen full of faces. We're doing that again tonight, 8:15 after the Clap for Carers. We meet in Zoom conference from 8:15. Join us for that if you're able to. Of course, one of the highlights of these past few days has been the service of Thanksgiving for Kerry Brown. Pete and Gaynor want to express their thanks to you for the way that you've loved them and supported them. And it's been good to see the way in which God has been using Kerry's faith in Jesus and her death to point people to the good news. Pete was telling me the encouraging response to the donations as a result of our online live service on Tuesday. The donations to one of Kerry's Christian charities that she worked for, Caris. And we've had lots of other exciting response from those who have been helped by that particular service. I'm very grateful to our backup staff, the technical guys, who enabled Tuesday afternoon to happen. But keep praying for the Browns as they draw on God through these times of pressure. The other major events to be aware of course, tomorrow, Good Friday, we're gathering for reflection and prayer and worship, and especially around the Lord's table for that communion time. So be ready and prepared for that 10:30. That'll be happening. That's our new normal public gathering time. And we meet therefore again on Sunday for our Easter celebration service. It'll be coming through our church online platform. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, then let me encourage you to do that. There's so many good resources that we're putting out day by day. The daily devotions, this week being the prayer emphasis week. We've had special videos on Holy Week, and we're rolling those things out in the coming days, of course. And more people are finding benefit from these small or big platform media resources, and others are being drawn in too. So do pray about the impact of gospel ministry as a result of our media programs. Well, here we are. It's Maundy Thursday, and within the Christian calendar, we reflect, don't we, on the steps of Christ towards the cross. As a staff on Tuesday, we were thinking about how the real person inside us is revealed when we face pressure. Somebody has said that true character is revealed in a crisis when we make choices under pressure. And Holy Week for the Lord Jesus is a week of extraordinary pressure. Having been interacting with so many people, the public, having this large crowd who followed him, suddenly Jesus finds himself isolated and alone. He is betrayed, he is denied, he is deserted. He faces not just arrest, but trial and then eventual execution. Holy Week is a study of huge pressure and how we cope with it, and how the real character in us comes to the surface when we're facing the limits of pressure. Perhaps the highlight of Jesus' week in relation to this kind of intense pressure was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and Maundy Thursday will reflect on that from the Gospel account of Luke. Particularly listen to these words. And being in anguish, Jesus prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. The greater the pressure, the deeper the revelation of who we are. And as Jesus wrestled with the implications of his death upon the cross, ultimately he comes to that conclusion: Father, it's not my will, but yours. So he embraces, even under the most extreme psychological and emotional and physical and spiritual pressure, he embraces the choice of the Father for him. He entrusts himself to God. And all of us are facing pressure, not like the unique kind of crucible that Jesus was experiencing, but in our way, in these weeks of extreme isolation for some, of loneliness, of anguish, of fear. The greater the pressure, the deeper the revelation of who we are. And as Christian believers, this is an opportunity for us to show who we are as those men and women who trust God. Our leaders, our trustees and elders, they're being asked, like you, to trust God in these uncertain, pressurized times. And so will you commit to be praying for others that we will reveal our our real inner person as we keep giving ourselves to God through these days of crisis and opportunity. Pray for our Prime Minister. Pray for leaders in positions of responsibility. Pray that somehow in all of that God may use this extraordinary pressure cooker in our world, in our society, to bring to the surface those issues that we need to address as a nation and as people. And that's absolutely the case for us as Christian believers. The greater the pressure, the deeper the revelation of who we are. Thank God for Jesus, who endured the cross for us and calls us to follow him as those who make God our refuge, as those who say, not my will, but yours be done. Well, may God bless us powerfully through this Easter weekend. Stay safe, look after each other, and love Christ and his gospel. Bye.